Hi, I'm Jeff, and welcome to another one of my videos where I take a look at all the new comic books coming out on either January 24th or 25th, 2023. And I asked myself the question, what one new comic book would I buy this week if I could buy just one book? Let's go ahead and jump right into the content of this video first by taking a look back at my pick from 2 weeks ago, which was Black Cloak, issue number 1. And the question remains, was it a worthy and worthwhile pick to be my just one book pick of the week? The answer is no, not really. Listen, it wasn't bad at all. I read it, I enjoyed it, I thought it was fine. But that's just about it. I thought it was fine. These days, if I'm going to read a first issue of a book and read more issues of it, it needs to do something to grab me, something to compel me to continue to purchase and take the time to read these books month after month after month. And this book simply didn't do that. They compared themselves to like Saga and Blade Runner. I get the Saga vibe. The Blade Runner vibe is a little bit more of a stretch, other than the fact that it's basically cops trying to solve crimes. But like I said, it was interesting. It was relatively entertaining. It just wasn't for me. It didn't really get me excited, and I am not going to continue with it. If you read Black Cloak issue number 1, I'd really like to hear your comments on it down in the comment section. Seems like a perfect place for it. All right, let's go ahead and move forward now by taking a look at the books that are coming out this upcoming week. Now, I'm going to be talking about 6 books this week, 5 honorable mentions, and then my just one book pick of the week. 3 of these books I am purchasing this week, and 3 of them I am not. I will tell you which one is which. But let's jump in first by telling you about a new book that's coming out called Nightwalkers, issue number 1 of a 5-issue limited series from Source Point Press. Here's the description. Saren is an addict in recovery at the rehabilitation center secluded in the mountains, completely isolated from the outside world. When Saren and the other patients wake to find themselves locked inside and abandoned by the center's staff, they must decide whether to wait or break out. The decision is made for them when a bloodthirsty monster enters the center and begins to tear through them to satiate its lust for blood. In a collaboration with Hustle and Heart Films and Vertigo Entertainment, Source Point Press is proud to bring you Cullen Bunn's Nightwalkers, a new comic book series with a terrifying, fresh take on a timeless horror subgenre. Okay, I don't know what that subgenre is, but anyways, if you like something scary and you're interested in scary things, especially like monster, blood-sucking stuff, this might be something for you to check out. In addition, this is from writer Cullen Bunn. Cullen Bunn is a very prolific writer. It seems like he has new titles coming out multiple times every single year, and in general, they're pretty good. I read Basilisk myself. I liked Basilisk a lot. So I can say that Cullen Bunn is a writer worth checking out. So if you like monsters and you like Cullen Bunn, this might be for you. It also says that this was published in collaboration with Hustle and Heart Films and Vertigo Entertainment, which doesn't surprise me because as I was reading the description originally, I was like, well, this sounds like a horror movie. And then I find out, well, it's been developed with people who make movies. So I don't know if that means that this book has a lot of potential to see the light of day in major motion picture worlds, or if it's something that maybe an idea they were developing with Cullen Bunn and they're like, yeah, this isn't going to see the light of day as a movie. Why don't we just go ahead and make it a comic book and see if we can get some money back on the rights. But regardless, if any of these things interest you about this book, I might recommend it for you this week, and it is not a book that I plan on picking up. The next book I want to mention to you is a new book. It is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin, Lost Years, issue number 1 from IDW Publishing. Here's the description. In the smash hit miniseries TMNT: The Last Ronin, readers witnessed the final gut-wrenching days of the Heroes in a Half show. For Michelangelo in particular, the march to his heartbreaking last battle was long and dangerous, taking him from New York City to Japan, across Asia and Europe, and then back home again to administer final justice against those guilty of killing his family. But what happened during those fateful years when he had only the need for vengeance and Master Splinter's journal to guide him? What battles did he fight? What hard lessons did he learn? The time has come to find out as original miniseries writers Kevin Eastman and Tom Waltz join artist Ben Bishop to reveal what adventures The Last Ronin experienced during his vengeful journey. While in the present, a new master, Casey Marie Jones, prepares her young Terrapin students to be the next generation of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Okay, so basically this title, okay, let me just say first, The Last Ronin was really good. I really enjoyed it a lot. I am not a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles guy, but I really enjoyed The Last Ronin. I thought it was a great story, well told. That being said, this has the vibe of the people at IDW getting together after the success of The Last Ronin and being like, hey, how can we make more money off of this? How can we capitalize on the success of The Last Ronin? Well, let's tell the story of what led up to that. Totally makes sense. Great place to be. It's exactly what I would, it's kind of the obvious choice for how to continue a story that functionally had a very definitive end. But then also, you know, the end of The Last Ronin teed up potential future of, you know, these, the next generation of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So they're going to give us that in this book as well. So from a spec potential aspect, it maybe has a little bit of it with what this new stuff between Casey Marie Jones and the young Terrapin students, you know, who are to become the next generation. So there may be some spec potential there, but mostly I would say that this is something that you would pick up for story entertainment, story enjoyment, and as a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan. So if any of those appeal to you, you might consider this book this week. And I am not planning on buying this book. The next book I'm going to mention to you is Once Upon a Time at the End of the World, issue number 3 from Boom Studios. Here is the description. Just as Maceo and Mezzi manage to find a touch of laughter and whimsy in the toxic hellscape they are traveling through, a gruesome encounter changes both of them forever. Even though Mezzi has been able to protect her naive companion so far, there is no shielding him from what comes next. An encounter with the nightmarish Wasteland Rangers. Okay, so Once Upon a Time at the End of the World, issue number 3 was this close to being my Just One Book pick of the week. Why? Because I've really enjoyed issues number 1 and 2. I really enjoyed the characters. I really enjoyed the world they're in. I really enjoy the conflict between the two main characters, the external conflict that they have of trying to survive. I really, really like it. And Jason Aaron is a fantastic writer, and this is no exception. So this is just a book that I'm really, really enjoying. I'm definitely planning on sticking with it for a good while because it's good. And so I'm very, very excited about reading issue number 3 because it's a story that I like a lot. And that's why it almost became my Just One Book pick of the week. And what ended up becoming my Just One Book pick of the week just barely edged it out, just barely. So if you haven't been reading Once Upon a Time at the End of the World, it's only issue number 3. I would absolutely recommend going and picking up issues number 1 and 2. I believe there will be second prints of issue number 2 might be coming out this week. So it's definitely availability out there if you're interested, and I think it's totally worth it. I'm absolutely buying this book this week. The next book I want to mention to you is Behold Behemoth, issue number 3 of a 5-issue limited series from Boom Studios. Here's the description. What unspeakable events brought Gray and Ren together in the past? And what does it mean for the pair's treacherous journey north? As the two continue on, revelations about the Behemoth will reveal a hidden truth about their shared story and the nature of the mysterious pursuer on their trail. Okay, well, this is on the list this week because I'm buying it. It is one of the 3 books that I am buying this week. This is one that I'm not nearly as excited about as I am Once Upon a Time at the End of the World. Behold Behemoth is a book that I almost dropped after issue number 1. I actually kind of bought issue number 2 because I didn't cancel it at my LCS, and so they pulled it for me, and it was in my box, and I was like, let me just go ahead and give it a try. And now that it's at issue number 3 and it's only a 5-issue limited series, I'm like, you know what, let me just see it through to the end. So I'm probably going to keep reading it, seeing it through to the end, not because I love it, but because I like it a lot. It has been entertaining. It is interesting. I do want to know what is happening to these characters and what is going to happen to these characters. So I'm sticking with it for now. So this one, I would not necessarily like hardcore try to talk you into going back and picking up issues number 1 and 2 if you haven't already. But if something was interesting about it to you, then I would say go ahead, but I'm not going to push it the way I would Once Upon a Time at the End of the World. But once again, basically, if this wasn't a 5-issue limited series, I would drop it. But I like it enough to see it through issue 5, so I'm going to finish the journey. And I am buying it this week. The next book I want to mention to you is a new book. It is Inferno Girl Red, Book 1, issue number 1 of a 3-issue limited series from Image Comics. Here's the description. Mini-series premiere. A new school, new relationships, new possibilities. For any teenager, big moves are both challenges and exciting. But it's a whole other thing for Cassia Costa, because an ancient cult and their army of demons has ripped her new home of Apex City out of our universe and cast it into darkness. To have any hope of saving it, Cassia must survive the worst night of her life, embrace a secret legacy, and find the courage to fight when all seems lost, as the blazing light of hope in the dark, Inferno Girl Red. From creators Erica Durso and Matt Groom, the saga of the newest Image Comics superhero begins here. Okay, basically I mentioned this one, it doesn't really do much for me. It's not really exciting to me on what they're offering me here. This is basically, I'm mentioning to you because it's the first issue of a new comic superhero, and if you like comic superheroes and you like picking up first appearances of them, then this might be one for you. And I wouldn't blame you one single bit for picking it up exclusively because it's in issue number 1. It's just not enough for me to pick it up this week. But because of it being a new superhero issue number 1 from Image Comics, and it doesn't sound bad. It just doesn't sound that interesting to me. But if it sounds interesting to you and you're interested in new superheroes, you might consider picking it up this week. All right. That's all my honorable mentions. Now that brings us to the one book that I would buy if I could buy just one book. And that book is Sins of Sinister, issue number 1 from Marvel Comics. Here's the description. Powers of Essex. It's the end of the world as we know it, and at least Sinister feels fine. For now. Can that last? Especially when we discover that he really is his own worst enemy. The universe-melting X-Event begins here, in a horror timeline that makes Age of Apocalypse look like the X-Men swimsuit special. Join Kieran Gillen as he kicks off the X-Men crossover Sinister has been planning since the beginning, and is going to have to see through to the bitter end. Okay. Before doing research for this video, I wasn't sure if I was going to do the Sins of Sinister event. I am very reluctant to get involved in crossover events in Marvel and DC Comics because it generally becomes way too many books that you have to buy. You have to buy all the main story, and you have to buy all the tie-ins and all the crossovers. It's a lot, so I stay away from them. This one, I think I'm gonna just pick up the main Sins of Sinister miniseries for a few reasons. One, it's from writer Kieran Gillen. He's really good. I haven't read a ton of his stuff, but I did read Once and Future, and I thought it was really, really good. He took a subject which is kind of the Arthurian, like a modern day Arthurian legend. That's not really what it is. He took the Arthurian legend and it became part of like modern day mythology in a way. He did a really good job with it, and it was really entertaining, and I read it for many issues before I decided to go ahead and let it go. But I really liked it. I thought he did a great job with it. So as a highly competent writer, I expect Sins of Sinister to be written very, very well. In addition, Mr. Sinister is awesome. Not only is he a very cool looking bad guy, but I actually watched a video on YouTube. I'm sure you can find it. I'm sorry, I won't be able to lead you to it. I'm sure you can find it here on YouTube. That was basically it was this woman who was basically giving the backstory, the history of Mr. Sinister in comic books and all the different stories that have been told about him and kind of summing up his whole existence. And it's pretty cool. His backstory, they've done a lot of really great things with his backstory. And there is still so much story to tell. There's the promise. He's got clones. He's the only one of 4 different clones. You know how he has the diamond on his forehead? Well, there's one with like the different symbols from playing cards, the clubs, the heart, and the spade. He's just the diamond clone. It's all part of his goal to live forever and conquer and use genes and manipulate them to his will. I'm not doing a good job describing it, but just know that Mr. Sinister is very cool. And they're going to be putting together like hybrid versions of different mutants, which just sounds really cool. There just seems like this could be really, really fun and cool and exciting. And first and foremost, what I'm looking for in my comic book entertainment is fun. And this absolutely seems like fun. And I'm a big X-Men fan, as I've mentioned before, but I don't talk about the X-Men very much in these videos because modern day X-Men comics, I try them from time to time and they always leave me wanting more, so I don't end up reading them or recommending them very often. And this seems like it's almost like, it says something here about in a horror timeline. Like, I have a feeling that it may be in a different timeline or it may be in a different universe. I don't know. None of that really matters to me. It just looks like it has the potential to be really, really awesome. With Sinister doing his thing, with these different mutants being kind of mashed up into new creations, and all in the hands of Kieran Gillen. It seems like it could be a lot of fun, really entertaining, really exciting, and the more I think about it, the more excited I get, and that is why Sins of Sinister, issue number 1, is my just one book pick for this week. All right, that's it. That's my video this week. Hopefully, I noticed the lighting changed in here a lot. The sun is setting. I hope it didn't get too dark in here. I'm not going to redo the video. I'm sure you'll be able to hear me just fine if you can't see me well, but that's it. If you have anything you'd like to talk about, let me know down in the comments. I do read every single one of them, and I appreciate them very much. And if you like this video, likes are appreciated by me, so please hit that like button. All right, that's it. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.